And welcome to yet another episode of the AI with Arun show. In this episode, we'll brief you about the US tariffs, the geopolitical impacts, economic impacts, and what it means to the world. President Trump's recent executive order imposing tariffs on imports, specifically from Canada, Mexico, and China, has sent shockwaves around the global economy. While the administration justifies this decision as necessary measure to curb illegal immigration, drug trafficking, and protect American interests, it has ignited a trade war with potentially far-reaching consequences. On your screen that you're seeing, you can see the specific tariffs that the administration has recommended on Canada, Mexico, and China. Before we move forward, let's spend a moment to understand the history of tariffs in the US. The use of tariffs to protect domestic industries and influence trade relations has a long and contentious history in the United States. From the protectionist policies of the early republic to the trade wars of the 20th century, tariffs have been a recurring theme in US economic policy. President Trump's recent actions are not unprecedented. In fact, his administration imposed significant tariffs on various goods during his first term, including steel, aluminum, and a wide range of Chinese products. These tariffs had a mixed impact, with some domestic industries experiencing a boost in production, while others, particularly those reliant on imported materials, faced higher costs and job losses. The current tariffs represent a continuation of this trend. The administration argues that these tariffs are crucial to holding Canada, Mexico, and China accountable for their commitments to stem the flow of illegal immigrants and illicit drugs into the United States. They believe that by making foreign goods more expensive, the tariffs will incentivize companies to shift production back to the US, potentially boosting domestic manufacturing and creating jobs. Furthermore, they anticipate that the tariffs will discourage imports, thereby reducing the US trade deficit and generating revenue for the government. However, economists and trade experts have expressed concerns about the potential downsides of this approach. They argue that the tariffs are ultimately passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices for goods and services, potentially fueling inflation and reducing consumer purchasing power. Moreover, targeted countries are likely to retaliate with their own tariffs, harming US exporters and potentially triggering a trade war that could damage the global economy. And you have seen that already in the case of Canada. The Tax Foundation estimates that these tariffs could shrink the US economy by 0.4% and increase taxes by $1.2 trillion between 2025 and 2034. Canada, which is the US's largest trading partner, faces significant economic headwinds due to the 25% tariffs. The Bank of Canada has warned that these tariffs could lead to a decline in export volumes, higher inflation, and an economic slowdown. In response, Canada has announced retaliatory tariffs on $155 billion of US goods, including alcohol and fruit. Furthermore, some Canadian provinces are taking more targeted measures. For example, Ontario's Liquor Control Board has been ordered to remove American alcohol from its catalogs, preventing stores and restaurants from stocking US liquors. British Columbia, another state in Canada, has taken similar action, removing American alcohol brands from government store shelves. These measures, combined with potential strategies like limiting provincial procurement by American firms, could significantly impact US businesses and exacerbate local tensions. Let's look at Mexico. Mexico is heavily reliant on trade with the US. It's also vulnerable to the 25% tariffs. The potential impacts could include severe disruption of its auto industry, higher energy costs due to its tariff on US refined oil exports, and a potential GDP contraction of up to 44%. Mexico has also announced retaliatory tariffs, potentially targeting specific US states with measures against products like pork from Iowa, dairy from Wisconsin, and industrial goods from Michigan and Ohio. This targeted approach aims to exert political pressure on states that voted for President Trump in the 2024 election, adding another layer of complexity to the trade dispute. Now let's look at China. While facing a lower tariff increase compared to Canada and Mexico, China is still likely to experience negative economic consequences. The 10% tariff increase added to existing tariffs will further reduce Chinese exports to the US and could contribute to a slowdown in Chinese economic growth. However, China has several options to mitigate the impact of these tariffs. One potential strategy is currency devaluation, which could make Chinese exports more competitive but risks triggering a currency war with other countries. More importantly, the situation could incentivize China to further strengthen its domestic industries and reduce its reliance on the US market. US consumers are likely to feel the pinch of these tariffs through higher prices for a wide range of goods and services. Consumers could see a significant increase in the price of avocados, which are primarily imported from Mexico. The average price of cars could rise by about $3,000 due to tariffs on vehicles and auto parts from Canada and Mexico. Tariffs on Canadian oil could increase gasoline prices from by 30 to 70 cents per gallon. Furthermore, tariffs on Chinese goods could lead to higher prices for electronics, including smartphones and computers. The Peterson Institute for International Economics estimates that these tariffs could cost the average US household $2,600 per year. These price increases could disproportionately affect lower income households who spend a larger portion of their income on essential goods and services. These tariffs have profound implications for the future of global manufacturing and supply chains. As companies face higher costs and increased uncertainty, they may seek to diversify their production and reduce their reliance on a single country or region. This could lead to a shift in global manufacturing, with Southeast Asia emerging as a more attractive hub for businesses seeking to relocate from China. The potential shift has significant implications for countries like Vietnam and India, which could benefit from increased investments and job creation. Vietnam, with its expanding industrial capacity and stable diplomatic relations with the US, is very well positioned to attract businesses seeking to relocate from China. India also stands to benefit from the China Plus One strategy as companies seek to diversify their production and reduce their reliance on China. The tariffs could have a significant implication for the chip industry and AI innovation. Tariffs on Chinese goods lead to the increased cost of chips. This leads to the higher rise for consumer electronics and potentially slows down the adoption of AI technologies. The tariffs could disrupt the complex global supply chain for semiconductors, potentially hindering AI development and innovation. The Consumer Technology Association projects that laptop purchases could decrease by 68%, gaming consoles by 58%, and smartphones by 37% because of the tariffs, potentially slashing consumer tech spending by up to $143 billion. While tariffs may provide a role in encouraging domestic semiconductor production, a more effective approach might be to focus on targeted policies and investments that directly address the challenges faced by the US semiconductor industry. The Semiconductor Technology Advancement and Research STAR Act, introduced recently, aims to bolster the US economy, national security, and supply chain resilience by promoting investments in domestic semiconductor manufacturing and design. This type of legislation, combined with initiatives like the CHIPS Act, provide a more sustainable path towards revitalizing the US semiconductor industry and ensuring its competitiveness in the global market. The long term impact of these tariffs will depend on several factors, including the duration of the trade dispute, the extent of retaliation by targeted countries, and the ability of businesses to adapt to the new trade environments. However, this decision has undoubtedly ushered in a period of heightened uncertainty and risk for the global economy, with potentially lasting implications for international trade and geopolitical relationships. That brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you for watching the AI with Arun show. Let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. And thank you.